Hi everyone, welcome back to All About Financial Aid, where we live and breathe all things financial aid all day, every day. I'm John Mazzilli. I'm gonna go over today some of the common pitfalls that students make when considering a leave of absence. This is very important, especially for students in our medical program, also dental program, School of Nursing. It's just a lot of really common issues that come up whenever someone goes on a leave of absence, and I want to show you how you can avoid those pitfalls today. Okay, so let's get started. Now, I'm going to break this video up into three parts: before LOA, during LOA, and then after LOA. Okay, so before LOA, number one most important thing you want to consider is to contact the financial aid office. You can see our email and phone number up on the screen. Whatever you got to do, if you got to email us, call us, come down to the office in person, whatever it takes, make sure that we are aware of your plans, okay? This is very, very important. A lot of students don't notify the financial aid office, and we just create a package for you like a full year student, and then we get notified by either the dean's office or the student affairs office or maybe the registrar's office that, yeah, you know, the student is not coming this semester, and then it's a whole lot of work that we need to do on the back end to sort of undo your aid package. So make sure that you contact us, make sure that we're aware of what you're going to be doing, okay? Now, when you contact financial aid, make sure you do this as soon as you're considering an LOA, okay? Don't finalize dates with anyone, with the dean's office or the student affairs office. Don't do any of that before you contact us. It's very important that we know the dates that you're considering and that we can go over the financial aid implications with you. And also let us know your plans for your LOA, okay? We do need to know that because it's going to impact your financial aid differently if you are studying at another institution. So, for example, a lot of our dual degree students would be taking classes at either another school or another institution, and we do need to be aware of that, okay? If you're just going to be working or studying for an exam, a lot of med students take time off to study for board exams. We need to be aware of that as well, right? And the reason is because your activities are going to affect how your financial aid is calculated, okay? So you may need to return funds. This is a common one. Do keep in mind that if you are considering LOA, when you're not a student, you can't be receiving aid. So many students unfortunately go on LOA and thought they were going to be able to borrow student loans to finance that. You can't borrow aid for your living expenses while you're not enrolled, okay? So keep in mind that you are going to have to make other arrangements for your living expenses while you're on LOA, and you may need to return funds. So the Department of Education will lend you money for school fees, living expenses while you're enrolled as a student. If you're not enrolled as a student, you may need to return some of those funds that were disbursed out to you, okay? So it's very important, you need to be aware of that. This is why you need to contact us so that we can explain this whole process to you, okay? There's a lot more detail of it than what I can go into in the short video like this. Also keep in mind that your loans may go into repayment. So if you're going to be on LOA for more than 6 months and you're not going to be enrolled at another school, those loans are going to use up your grace period and they're going to go into repayment, okay? You will be able to defer them once you're enrolled at least half time again, but keep in mind that you can use up that grace period while you're on LOA, okay? Now during LOA. During LOA, you may need to return funds to the university. This is why it's important to contact us before you go on LOA, because if you don't get in touch with the financial aid office, we're going to find out from the student affairs office or the university registrar that, hey, this student hasn't been enrolled in classes since a month ago. And then we need to go in and calculate how much money you owe back to the Department of Education from the student loans that were disbursed out to you at the beginning of the semester. As we mentioned, the loans may go into repayment or exhaust the grace period, depending on the dates of your LOA. This is why you need to talk to us so we can run through the different scenarios with you before you end up in this situation trying to, fix the situation, okay? And keep in mind that you do need to make arrangements for your living expenses, because it's a very common question, but you can't borrow student aid while you're on LOA, okay? And we can also go over with you what you're going to need to do if you're going to be enrolled at another school or at another program while you're on LOA. A lot of students, especially like medical students, may be doing a dual degree, whether it's a master's in public health, that's a common one, or an MBA. They may temporarily go on LOA from our medical school, but be taking classes at another school. And it needs to be coordinated really well, so we can go over with you exactly what you need to do to make sure that both schools are on the same page. Okay, it's very important. After LOA. Before you're returning from LOA, make sure that you contact the financial aid office. Actually, I would say make sure you contact all offices, financial aid, the dean's office, the registrar. Make sure that everyone is on the same page. Every office that needs to know that you're going to be re-enrolling or continuing your studies, make sure that everybody knows the exact same information, okay? It's very difficult for us because we don't have sort of a central way of knowing who's enrolled and who's not until after the dean's office tells us, oh, this student has now re-enrolled. It could be a month later, it could be 2 months later or more. Okay, so if we can get that information from you, it really helps us out a lot. It helps us out to work on your file, and it will keep everything running smoothly for you. Okay. Now, while you're on LOA, make sure that you fill out the FAFSA for the school year during which you plan to return. Okay, say you've been on LOA for a full year, okay? Well, I use the classic example, which is great, of a medical student who finishes third year, goes on LOA for a full academic year to complete classes at another institution, for example, and then comes back to graduate on time with the year that was originally below them, right? Now, during that time, they would want to fill out the FAFSA for the next academic year when they're going to be returning. That way, we can make you an aid offer, and you'll just re-enroll with the next class, okay? And like I said, make sure every office knows your return date and all your plans and how you're going to be enrolled moving forward, okay? Now, here are some final tips. Like I said, definitely contact the financial aid office before you finalize any dates with other offices. So make sure that all offices are on the same page, like we said. Leave at the end of the term if possible. Now, this is a big one. Now, if you have an emergency or something, you need to go on LOA for medical emergency, something like that. There's really nothing you can do about it, and you have to end up fixing it. But what can you do, right? But if you can, like say you're going to be planning to enter a different program, you can plan those dates really well. So make sure that you leave at the exact end of a term or end of a semester so that it doesn't mess with your aid too much. So that will help minimize the amount of money you're going to have to return to the Department of Education. All right. You can attend more than 60% of the term. This is sort of a magic date. It's sort of a cliff where the amount of money you'll have to return drops to zero. So if you attend more than 60% of the term, then you won't have to return any money to the government, okay? So whatever money got dispersed to you at the beginning of the semester, you stayed 60%, you can keep all the money, all right? And if you call us and make sure that we know your dates, we can tell you when that 60% mark is, and we can tell you, hey, drop after this date, that way you're not going to have to return any money, okay? Also, make sure you plan to file that FAFSA for the year in which you plan to return. And like I said, communicate with our financial aid office, and if you're at another school, communicate with their financial aid office. Let them know and let us know that you are a dual degree student and what exactly your plans are during the LOA. And always communicate with your loan servicers as well.